That's right, we're back in Philly. In this episode, I sit down with Christina Dowd, Executive Director of Philly Loves Beer. Join me as we discuss the effect the coronavirus has had on the local beer community and the status of America's oldest beer week. So grab a cheesesteak and a beer, and let's start this jaunt. Welcome to No Pants During the Pandemic. Hi, my name is Kevin Brooks, and this is No Pants During the Pandemic. Today I'll be speaking with Christina Dowd from Philly Loves Beer. Hey Christina, how you doing today?
Hey Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I hope you're enjoying the lovely spring weather.
You know, it's gorgeous. You kind of got me at the same angle I sit and work at. I've got a window that I look out of, and so, I get to enjoy the outside world from the inside, which is what we're all doing right now for the most part.
Yep. I guess let's jump right into things, and why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you're all about.
So, my name is Christina Dowd, and I am the Executive Director of Philly Loves Beer.
What exactly is Philly Loves Beer?
Philly Loves Beer is the nonprofit organization that runs Philly Beer Week. And we're a membership-based nonprofit, so we have local and national breweries join our organization, as well as restaurants, bars, venues. And we help promote beer and food events all year round.
It initially all started around Philly Beer Week. Can you tell me a little bit about Philly Beer Week?
So Philly Beer Week started in 2008. And actually, the historical part of it, you would probably know a lot more than I do. However, I know that it was some of the OG of the Philly beer scene sitting in the back bar of Monk's, kind of discussing what kind of beer celebration could come about to celebrate all of the delicious beer and in the city of Philadelphia.
While initially the group was all about Philly Beer Week, why was there the turn to make it Philly Loves Beer?
I'm going to say personally, I started showing up to Philly Beer Week board meetings probably 8 years ago to see what it was all about, since I've been in the local beer industry for a while. And I think people were kind of getting burnt out on what Beer Week is, or what it should have been, or what it was growing to be. There was the question there of like, okay, well, what can it really be? And is everyone telling us they want us to support them in a larger format, just more than these 10 days? And I really think that probably came from the local breweries wanting to make sure they weren't forgotten during Philly Beer Week. So Philly Loves Beer really was an answer to them to say, hey, the 10 days of Philly Beer Week, we want all of the beer. We don't really care where it's from. We want it to come from all over. We want to celebrate every region. And then all the other days, we do focus a lot on local beer.
Today would have actually been the first day of Philly Beer Week, and opening tap would have been tonight. So needless to say, that's not happening.
Yeah, for very obvious reasons, we cannot start our hog relay at 8 a.m. in the morning on a hot, sweaty May day is what we usually do, all the way leading up to a 6:30 or maybe 7 p.m. start for opening tap.
Why don't you tell everybody what opening tap is?
Sure. Opening tap's the big kickoff party. We invite all of our member breweries and some of their friends. This year, it would have been held again at the Fillmore. It's a giant party. I don't want to call it a beer fest. It's not just a tasting. It's a concert. It's tomfoolery. It's so many amazing beers. It's a great opportunity to meet people who own breweries, or not just sell beer, but make beer. And it's a really awesome gathering of everybody, of all of us, just to kind of kick it off officially. We knew early on that we were going to just cancel opening tap for 2020, we didn't see any need to think about rescheduling, as news came to us. That said, we have still continued our relationship with the Fillmore and hope to be there in 21, 22, and 23. So those contracts have been signed. So hopefully that'll move on.
During Beer Week, what all's going on?
So yeah, Philly Beer Week is 10 solid days of beer appreciation, beer ridiculousness. We do a lot of super fun things with beer.
There's tap takeovers, beer dinners, seminars, and for years there was a beer version of Double Dare.
One of my favorite events, probably because I'm pretty good at it, is the swan boat races. They've been going on a long time, but all of the breweries get in and we race against each other. Philly Loves Beer was coming back to defend our championship this year. If we can pull that off during the summer months again with Spruce Street Harbor Park, we certainly will. I got to retain my title.
Did you get a belt or anything?
They tried to give us a ginormous inflatable swan tube thing. And here we are like, hi, we already have to carry the hammer and go to 6 more events after this. So you can keep the swan. We're good.
One of the things that makes it stand out is the hammer of glory. That's a little before your time, I guess. But where did that whole thing come from?
I believe it was a discussion trying to figure out a more fun way to tap our inaugural first beer. And they just came up with this giant hammer, which usually resides in my house. But sadly, the quarantine went down so fast it is in storage right now.
What a shame. You should have been, using it as a prop during all of this.
I certainly would have if it was here.
What most people don't know is that Philly Beer Week is the oldest in the country.
It's pretty special. There's so many first things happen in Philadelphia in general, and we are also the nation's first beer week.
And every year you do a collaboration beer and send a lucky person on a trip, don't you?
Philly Beer Week and Philly Loves Beer continues the tradition of a annual raffle that we do, and it was strange. We pick a local brewery. We have a brewery somewhere else in the world that we're going to do a collaboration beer for Beer Week, and it was crazy not to travel this year to do all that.
Who was the collaboration going to be with this year?
And this year it was going to be with Russian River, which I was really looking forward to.
In previous years, it's always been with Belgian and Dutch brewers. So the beer was brewed in January to be here in time for Beer Week. Had you brewed this year's beer yet?
Actually, since we were teaming up with Russian River this year, we were going to go there in mid-April because it was going to be Philly Beer Week's first IPA, which is crazy considering how widely consumed the IPA is. But like you said, it's always been Belgian beers or, European styles and things like that. So we were like, if we're teaming up with Russian River, they wanted to make an IPA with us, and the brewery that was going to work with them is Second District over here in South Philly.
Well, now, will you guys basically do it again next year? Will Russian River and Second District do it?
That's a good question. I do think we should see if we can pull it off again. But again, it has a lot to do with when everybody's going to be traveling again and all that good stuff.
How's the Philly beer community doing as a whole right now? Most bars are shut down still, and a lot of breweries are hurting. I figured they've been talking to you.
I have an interesting perspective since I am right in city proper. I'm in South Philadelphia, and I am in walking distance to a lot of breweries. I think the breweries, both in the city and around, have really done an awesome job of shifting their mindset to figure out how to work through all this. Even when you think about crowlers and cans, and I know everybody was lending each other supplies just to get through. And are you doing delivery yourself? Are you just doing curbside pickup? Are you signing up with a business that's going to deliver your beer for you? There were so many moving parts, and so many breweries did a really great job adapting. So kudos to that. For myself personally, like I said, I can walk to a lot of breweries. I know that, just specifically brewery ours is not far from me, and they are such a small brewery that Pumps does most of their business there. So yes, I think not having the aspect of people sitting down and enjoying beer is one thing, but they have been running out of their cans. So every can release basically sells out for them. And like as I was mentioning, Second District, I know Kurt just kind of had a reformat and is back to food and beer pickup with his at Second District.
I mean, they were closed for how many weeks were they closed for? They just kind of, I think, waited to see how it all went.
I agree. I think a lot of people thought, okay, we'll wait these 2 weeks. And then we all knew, okay, it's going to be at least another 2 weeks. And I think after a month, people started saying, like, how are we coming back? Now every phase they have to look at it like that. Like, okay, now we can allow, and I guess now you can kind of go in somewhere and pick up your food, and soon outdoor seating will be something they get to do again. And I'm hoping Philly and other communities, and it seems to be happening in other places, but we'll pick streets to close down so we can all sit outside and at least cheers from afar.
With the next phase of opening the state up, or the city up in this case, where you'll only be allowed a percentage of your normal space to be used, it's could be some of these places. It's going to be cheaper for them to stay closed or only do curbside.
Yeah, and honestly, it's going to be real fucking weird because in these small places in the city like Memphis Tap Room, so what can you have? Maybe 4 tables in there at once?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a strange feeling to go to an empty or empty-ish restaurant to begin with, let alone, I mean, maybe we're all so hungry to kind of get out and socialize that it'll still feel like a lot for us. But yeah, I hope through all of this, right? The Renaissance happened after the plague. So it's like, I'm hoping big things on the horizon for our industry.
You're really optimistic. I don't quite have that much faith in people.
No, I agree. In fact, if I watch too much news or if I let myself go down a Twitter hole of any sort, I get very depressed. And it's like my punishment is that sadness for a couple days to follow. So for me, I'm gonna stay on the sunnier side of things.
Good for you. But it's going to be rough for a lot of these places for a while.
Yeah, I think sadly, and again, me, I'm trying to stay positive, but the reopening is going to shine light on if people can pull it off yet again. Like, they were faced with this struggle in the beginning, and then in the middle when things change, like, oh, it's not ending. And now yet again, it's like, okay, we're going to let you open very little. So like, can you keep sustaining?
Yep.
It's just not going to be realistic for a lot of people.
And then, God forbid, this isn't rushing into things and we get a second round of this. How many will be able to have weathered this twice?
I also feel like for the people who gave money, I mean, I know I gave money in the beginning. I was still working. Then I had my contract work pulled. Okay, I gave less money to people. But it's like, if we went through another full wave of this, all the people who donated to help keep things going might not be able to.
It's had to have slowed down even by now, 2 months into it. Because it seemed like at one point, just about every bar had a GoFundMe page to support their employees. And that's just not sustainable. So how's Philly Love Beer operating during all this?
My goal and the goal, the board right now, is just to make sure we can sustain ourselves as an organization and that we're helping as much as we can. We actually just had a few members join up, both breweries and restaurants. And I'm just basically like cutting deals. Like, I get it's hard. Just give me this nominal amount to start up so I know that you're committing to me. And then we will figure it out once we get going again. But, I'm saying we, but here we are. I'm now Philly Loves Beer again. And it's such a bummer because we were at such a great point where I had a full-time employee. I had part-time employees. I was able to like delegate tasks that let me think again on these bigger partnerships that we could have with the city, with hotels, and just really expand what we were doing. But now we're kind of like starting over again. So like everybody else.
Yep. Is there anything you'd like to add about Philly Loves Beer or Philly Beer Week?
Yes. So there is. For Philly Beer Week, again, our plan is we really are going to try to pull off some kind of celebration in 2020 that involves being there, imbibing in person with other people, depending on how far apart we have to be. We'll see how all that goes, but that is the plan for right now. Um, what's Philly Loves Beer up to before that? We are actually teaming up with Penn Museum and their Ancient Ale tours, and we're going to do a virtual tour with them. So they're working right now to make it more interactive for people to watch it at home. And the Philly Loves Beer side are going to get some beer people involved. We're going to kind of pair it with a 6-pack. So you take the tour and you drink along with it. And it'll also, you can pick up those 6-packs at these bottle shops or wherever.
Cool, I'll keep my eyes open for it.
So yeah, I'm really excited about it. We actually just had a call about it yesterday.
Well, Christina, thanks for spending all the time with me. I really appreciate it.
I had a great time, Kevin. It was super nice to talk to you.
Thanks, and I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers. If you'd like to learn more about Philly Loves Beer and Philly Beer Week, or would like to become a member, visit their webpage. The link's in the video's description. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.